Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm 10 Types, as I was joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hey, glad to be here and glad to be talking about what for a lot of people is their favorite format today.
Yeah. Well, some people, and GLC we're talking about today, as well as some other stuff, of course. But GLC is a format that's popular. It's like a fan format, and it's like very clearly a fan format. It is one of the 5 trainer trials we've seen so far. We're going to talk about trainer trials as a whole as well, and the future of GLC in live, and of course the actual like GLC decks and our experience so far and stuff like that. That is a true fan format, and it's more like unique than some of the other, or than really any of the other formats in the trainer trials in Pokemon TCG Live. It has bans, for example. I will say the bans. We'll talk about it a little bit about it's not exactly the way it is. The unofficial official GLC format is different than what we have in live because some cards aren't there, and the bans are more adjusted to that. So I don't know. It's the bans have felt fair though, I guess. But that they don't change things that much. But the format is it's been in the game for around what's it 4 days at the time of hosting 5
I think
3
this is
no
maybe
4
3 days.
okay
Um,
at the time of posting.
I
Just to
yeah,
confirm.
of recording. Yeah.
I
I mean, we've had
think it's
3
5.
days with it though. Is my point.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 days when we post it, but then obviously you can figure out whenever you listen to it. But we've had 3 days of play experience, which is I think that's useful to get out there.
Yeah. And so they did actually make an update as well. So at first you couldn't play. So what's supposed to be GLC, if you don't know, is a format that is supposed to be in black and white on essentially the expanded card pool. And then it also is one copy of your cards, so singleton outside of basic energies. Then also your deck is only one type, and then you also have no rule box cards, no EXs, no ace specs, no prism stars, nothing like that. Um, and so it creates some different decks experiences than standard. It's not like I mean all the trainer trials, all those formats are still in some regards similar to standard because you are constructing your deck kind of normally as opposed to for example theme in Pokemon TCG online that was I'd say more different than GLC or any other formats to standard. But so you have a pretty different deck building experience, and also it's kind of like Singleton as well. We had Singleton before, um, which in some ways paved the way for this as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the other formats a little bit. I don't. Do you want to talk about those now? We're going to hold off on that.
Um, Yeah, we could talk about them now. And yeah, you want to kick it off with Singleton?
Yeah, so we had 2 weeks of each of them. We had Singleton, which was fine. It was just standard format with one copy of each card, which meant you could play ace specs as well because you could only have one copy of that. It was fine. I think it's not a bad format. I think it's with this trainer trials. If you're not familiar with it, you probably are. It's every 2 weeks is a new format basically, and they're also taking recommendations. So I think they're seeing how things go and what they do. We know for this set of cards when the next set comes out, we'll find out what the new ones are. Most of these will probably be the same. Maybe there'll be some adjusting, maybe something new. So I thought Singleton Showdown was fine. I'll just jump to the second. The second was also twin battle. So Singleton Showdown, one copy of each card, except for basic energies. Twin battle, 2 copies of each card. So no ace specs because you can't have 2 copies of that in your deck. Again, standard format. So twin battles was very close to standard format. I think they should have done twin battles first just to help people ease into it a little bit because kind of twin battles is too much like standard to me. So I'm sure we'll get your opinion in a second. Singleton Showdown's not bad, but I do like with GLC. I'd like a single prize aspect of something like GLC, which Singleton format's still dominated by the EX Pokemon.
Yeah, and then also with the speaking of non no rule box Pokemon or whatever, the third one was the Silver series, which by the way
Yes.
is like a stupid name because it's Silver because it's Scarlet and Violet, Silver borders, but then it's non-rule box essentially. That's what it is. So but like standard is also silver, right? Silver border card. So that
Yes.
doesn't really make any sense. But anyways, they decided to do that, and it was fine as well. But going back to Singleton and Twin Battles, I think that one or those two are pretty similar to standard. and I actually thought I was expecting to like Singleton more than Twin Battles. Obviously, Standard it's a good format. I think most people generally agree on that. I mean, it's the format that almost everyone plays almost all the time, and Twin Battles is more similar, and so in some ways it was like good. It was like fun to play, although not really an interesting experience in that regard. But it was like the games are relatively fun in my opinion. Though I didn't play it that much, and then. The singleton format, the games were a little more different, but more so people just played standard decks, except they were like really inconsistent, and there were a
Yeah.
few funny cards in the decks, which didn't create, in my opinion, super fun games. There were a few differences in the way the games worked outside of your decks, just either setting up less or you just set up and you just kind of won. So I didn't actually love the game or the games. I think the format itself, like and then like from the idea, is like kind of cool. But those first two were fine, and then
Silver
the
Series.
silver series, yeah, the silver series, the single prize one was pretty solid. I think as an idea it's cool. It's also sometimes called aceless, and that's like another unofficial official format. That's like a fan, it's not exactly a fan format, right? The rules are very simple. And a lot of people just play that casually as well, because they might like not have exs or just not want to play with them. But then there were a few decks that felt like really good in the format, so it wasn't like super balanced. I think Festival Lead was kind of insane. Tyranitar, as well as like Bidoof Frostlass, Monkey Dory, were both really good. So they're item lock, and so they're not super fun. And then Ancient Box is good. Ancient Box is a fine enough deck. It's not like annoying, in my opinion. I think that's like fair. I think Festival Lead's kind of fun, but also it can kind of wipe your board in a way that's actually very similar to Dragonpool. So I thought the first two formats were fine. And I guess I'll do my quick rundown of GLC as well, tossing that in there. And so far it's been fine. I've played regular GLC as well, a bunch, not like an insane amount. There are definitely a lot of people who've played it more than me, but I've certainly played a bunch as well. And recently as well, I still play it some, and it's a cool format. And the live GLC version where you have slightly less cards, not that many less cards. It's X and Y in black and white, which is 6 years worth of cards, I think. That sounds like a lot, but there's actually not 6 years. Well, I don't know. There's not like 6 current years worth of cards because the sets were smaller and also generally worse as well. There's just a lot more, I guess, filler, I'd say, in the sets. That is like truly bad. It's supposed to like standard, like kind of filler stuff. It's generally like kind of playable. But so you don't have as many like big losses as you'd expect from 6 years worth of cards, but there are some that are meaningful. And so some decks are less consistent, which we'll kind of get into in ways that aren't fun, in my opinion. So that's like a little annoying that you have those losses, though I don't think, as I said, it's the biggest deal. But yeah, GLC is like fun. I guess it's my favorite of the four so far. And I guess I'll mention the last one is common and uncommon, or was it CU Cup expanded
Yeah.
or something? Is that what the name
Yeah.
was?
Yeah, so CU Cup, which I'm actually looking forward to the most. I now you played GLC in the past. I have not, and we'll talk about how that impacts things too. But CU Cup is just common and uncommons only for the expanded card pools. So kind of like a pauper format. I'm looking forward to that. I don't. We'll see how it works. Hopefully it works well. Like because one of the things like with Silver Series, the one that was common, uncommon, rare cards there are certain decks that are too strong. So generally for formats like that to work, you probably need to start adding some bans to it, and maybe they'll start doing that going forward. Like if you were doing the common and common rares only format before rotation, we had say Lost Box. A deck like that might just be too good, right? You might have one or two decks that just move to the top. So because I started off with Ancient Box because that was like a viable top tier deck and viable standard deck. So I figured that would be good for Silver Series. So you might just need to ban some certain cards or something to make things so that they're not too strong. So we'll see. Now the question is with the GLC format. We have, I guess it's Andrew Mahone comes up with the rules. I don't know if there's a rules committee or just him. I don't know how well the Pokemon Company International is going to do coming up with rules on the fly. So that will be an interesting thing if they do it, how well that works out for us.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Pokemon Company International because the Pokemon Company is really the one that kind of determines stuff, and then TPCI kind of follows after it. So yeah, we haven't really seen them. I mean, honestly, a lot of the stuff from TPCI has just been worse than stuff from the Pokemon Company. Obviously, the most obvious example is like Live versus Pocket. Pocket isn't necessarily perfect, but it's pretty good. Live is definitely not pretty good in a lot of ways. We'll kind of talk about that actually,
Yeah.
because there have been some hiccups with GLC so far that we will talk about. And yeah, I think I don't know exactly how well they'll do. Again, the so Pauper is like another like unofficial official format, I guess. I'm not very familiar with that.
Yeah,
Honestly, like,
I I
yeah,
think Pauper is like a Magic the Gathering term, I think, but obviously there's
yeah,
similarities between them. So,
yeah.
um,
And I've seen it played in like I've seen Pauper Pokemon TCG tournaments, though I haven't seen them in a long time.
right. One of the problems is if there's, these type of special formats don't get played a lot, which is they get played a lot, they kind of can get solved to a certain extent, which is always the risk, and then they have to adjust for it because you don't want to get something where there's a few, where there's just a couple decks that are really the only viable decks. So that's that's the danger going forward. But it also depends how many people play it. And also at this point, you can't do tournaments, and I'm assuming they're going to keep that. I think they don't want tournaments in formats that they know are not stable. Well, standard's not stable either, but alternate formats are even less stable. But without tournaments, then you don't have as much data to figure out what's good. So kind of defining the top decks will take a lot more time, I think. Where the way it is, and actually that's part of the fun, right? We're in something where we get creativity, so that's the fun of it. So hopefully, I think it's going okay. Well, I will say, because you're a GLC player, this kind of nerfed format is less consistent. The Singleton Showdown was very inconsistent. I felt like largely, and people tended to concede too quickly. That's one of my comments, which probably applies to GLC as well, especially this format. Both players sometimes would take like 5 or 6 turns to get going in those Singleton Showdown, which isn't fun, right? So that's one aspect of it. When that happens too much, it's not fun. But the other thing, you need to be patient, because there's a good chance your opponent's bricking too. That was just the nature of that format. So just I always felt like, why would my opponent concede? I know they didn't set up, but I think I'm like 4 turns from setting up myself. My opponent would concede half the time.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's I don't know. It's something that happened. I mean, it happens more like obviously in an online game where it's quicker to hop into games. It can be kind of annoying when you're like occasionally you'll be like in a really like interesting game, even if it's like not really developed yet. It's not like the game's done or anything, but then your opponent concedes, and I've had that happen a few times in GLC already as well. And so we'll kind of see what happens with that. I think it's people also getting kind of like used to things. Um, and honestly, like, because we've both been building some decks, so we're going to talk about those. And
Yeah,
you can kind of sometimes you might quickly be able to realize that you have a bad deck, and you're like, well, this is like not going to be fun. But yeah, GLC though, again, you do have that lacking consistency. Again, exaggerated because of the like not having certain trainers. And again, I don't think that's like the biggest steal. I haven't heard that many people complain about it so far. I've heard some. Obviously, Pokemon's doing their best, and I think we should talk about the cards that are here, the expanded or the Sun and Moon and so on Shield cards. You'll be I want to talk about the tag team supporters. So they were like for some reason they were banned by accident when the format came out. I think it was because they're like tag teams, and most tag teams are GXs, but and you can't play those except for one. But
right. They did an update, so it came out on Thursday that GLC started. You couldn't play tag team supporters, and you could play one GX Pokemon as well, Palisade GX. And I think you told me about that. And now I see. So they on Friday, the next day, they fixed it. So that's a good thing. They fixed it quickly for them, right? For live, fix something
yeah,
within 24 hours is like super speedy. And now of course they broke the game like 2 weeks before trying to get GLC implemented. So in a sense that's part of this GLC issues too, right? They because they pushed GLC back by 2 weeks because they messed up the game, and I think was partly prepping for it. I could be wrong on that. So, yeah, there's issues with live with the programming, but I guess somehow the tag team supporters are marked as tag teams, so then they were thinking they were GX. So you couldn't play tag team supporters, but you could play tag call in your deck. Because I grabbed a deck like for a deck from Limitless because there are some older Limitless decks, but then they have some of the cards you can't play, and it had. And I had to get rid of like the tag team supporters, but then I still had tag call, and that was actually a game I conceded quickly because I think at my first turn I knew I got rid of the tag team supporters, but I saw tag call in my hand. I'm like, well, that's a dead card. I don't think I need to fix that.
Yeah. And honestly, you said like a day is like good for live. It's like it's pretty good for anything, honestly.
Yeah,
And so that's like really good to see. They are addressing these issues quicker. I think it's because more people are talking about GLC. It is cool that they're gonna do that. I will say though, I haven't actually even played with any of the tag team supporters in live. Well, no, I don't know if I have like a long time ago, but well, I can expand it if I have. But in GLC, I have not because I went to put them in a deck and then I couldn't, right? So I took them
right.
out. So then
Um,
I played the game,
Go ahead.
and then my opponent played them, and I was like really surprised. I went to record and I think I posted as like a members only video. Did not make it to a regular video, because it wasn't like awesome. So and I messed up the second game as well. But the first game, my opponent played these tag teams. I was like completely caught off guard. And then the tag teams like were really glitchy, or I don't know if really glitchy is quite the right term. But the first one was, I think it was Guzman Hollow, which it searches for some stuff, some specific types of cards. And then it didn't reveal them, which is definitely a mistake. This was actually an issue with a few different cards throughout Pokemon TCG Live's history. It's I'm not exactly sure why it could. It's probably just a small mistake, like somewhere in the code, that is pretty easy to fix. We saw this before, I think with it might have been Arazu, but I don't remember. And so that was like a glitch. I don't think it. I don't know, but it's like obviously a glitch. And I looked in the battle log and I also couldn't see it. So then they also played Malmo Lana like the next turn, and Malmo heals. It like switches to the bench and then heals 120. And they had 150 damage, and they switched to the bench and it healed all the damage. And then when they came back to the active, the third damage return, which they're supposed to have. So I don't really know what was going on with those. So clearly not all the trainers and like the older cards are quite right. I've noticed I don't know, like a few minor like janky things I think outside that, but I can't really remember them. And then also I don't know if this is an issue. I noticed this before GLC, when I was like working on decks, and like expanded to prep for this, and the expanded cards didn't load very quickly, um, like a lot slower. So I'm not really sure. I haven't noticed that since then. Have you noticed like cards loading slower
Um,
or like not being
I
rendered in?
have not. I think if you haven't opened up if the card's not loaded into your game that you haven't played, on your computer and haven't played it, I think it's loading it up initially. So I think it's a little slower at first, is what I think might be happening there.
Okay.
Uh,
So anyways, looks like I mean, might have fixed it as well because again, I had that issue. I've had it before in the past as well, but
so so just wanted to
yeah.
say, so was this tag team issue? They said they fixed the core issues with that. I'm looking at what's on their website, meaning that you can put tag team supporters in your deck, but you can only do it if it's a new deck. If it was a deck that was built before this fix happened, you still can't put the tag team supporters in your deck. You need to create a new deck, and then you can put tag team supporters. So I don't know though if you're playing with an older deck. I don't know if that could mess up the gameplay too. So there's some weird thing, and they're going to continue to investigate the outstanding issue. So
They're gonna continue investigating. Good. They got the top investigators on the case.
so,
Um,
so there's some weird glitch there, and I think they don't know what it is exactly, but they got it fixed mostly. So
yeah, that's why because I was like, because I played like I think I imported a list. And I was like, oh, I can't have the tag teams, or no, I like had a list and I was like I had tag teams in it, and then in 5 minutes later I played a game and my opponent had tag teams in it. So that's probably what happened. I guess is that it was an existing list. I don't remember, but that would make sense. So, anyways, there's been that issue. It's not like the biggest issue in the world or anything, but it's certainly not awesome either.
yeah. Now I would like to talk about the new bans in GLC. Do you want to talk about that now or later?
Yeah, I could talk about those.
So, well, first off, with the live thing, which was a
Wait, like
little
the actual bands, not like Palisand GX, right?
no, the actual bans, the rulings, right? There's the two energies that have been banned, I believe, if
Yeah,
recently.
I went to look for them, and then I realized I wouldn't be able to find them because they're banned. Um,
Y-
oh,
y-
actually, I want to sorry, random side note as well relating to that. With the deck manager, you can't like add cards that you can't play in the format to your deck. Um, you mentioned this before. If you're trying to like
Yeah.
swap out an art because you have the wrong one because you like imported it or something,
Right.
you can't really do that very easily. You need to remove it first, then add it. It's supposed to be the other way around, which makes it harder because it's harder to find. So, and then I don't know, you just can't add stuff to a deck that's not in the format. So I might, and then do you know how many formats there are in Pokemon TCG Live?
In live, besides
Yeah.
standard, expanded, and
No,
I
just all of them, like that you can deck build for.
well, I think there's those two, and then we have the four, or was it or five trainer trials, right? So it gets
Yeah, except there's only one trainer trial at a time, so you can't actually build a deck for
yeah,
like a different trainer trial. So that's not good. I don't really, or I don't know, it's really weird. Like, because I went to build my GLC deck before GLC came out, and I couldn't because there wasn't any format that had all those cards legal, and I can't build. I mean, I can build a singleton, like all the other ones are within standard.
yeah.
But so I guess this is. I actually don't know what the bans are in the CU Cup. Do you? Do you know if like a Scoopnet will be banned? I assume you don't.
I assume it will be. It says cards pools expanded, and it's
Oh, okay.
banned and expanded. Obviously, I mean, I think it probably would be nice to be unbanned, but um, yeah, I assume they're keeping all the bans that are there, with the control cards that are banned as well. I'm guessing so.
Okay. So then this will be a GLC only um, issue. This is the only form it's an issue for, but it still is like annoying and kind of weird. Why they like I guess because they don't want people building in formats that aren't going to ever exist again. Because some will end up being like cut, um, probably. So, but it's still kind of annoying.
Yeah, well, it also would be nice if they could just let you have an unlimited thing to build the deck, right? Especially because
Yeah.
that would that's you should be able to just build, and obviously and they should have unlimited play in the game too, right? At some point, but
Yeah.
again, they're trying to get these cards working. So, and it's also weird. I'm just looking at like the description of GLC. It says only cards from Black and White series onward, but obviously we know you can't play Black and White or XY. But it never doesn't say that in the description. So that they should. There's an online thing on the forums that's made that point that you can't use those older cards yet, but in live it doesn't say that. So they just need to get a little better. So there's a bunch of cards banned though, primarily control type cards like Chip Ice Axe and stuff. You can comment on the ones that have been if you wish. But they just added, I think, two cards: double colorless energy and twin energy. And I mean, personally, look, I kind of wish they were in format. To me, I don't know what the problem is. There must be some problem where they get
Yeah,
overlapped.
no. Yeah, so I'll talk about the ban. So actually, I think most of them aren't control. Are there any others that control? Lysander's trump cards like kind of sort of
Yeah.
control, but it's not exactly. Um, Force a giant plant. Wait, no, these are what? Are you looking at the list of bans in live
Well, the
GLC?
live band. So we have an Orangaroo, Chip X has Hiker, Kyogre, the Pokemon Research Lab. Anyway, Raikou, a Marshadow, and Duskull, plus the two energies.
Oh, okay. So like some of those are control. Some of those like kind of control. But yeah. So the reason that they are banned, I personally think GLC bans too many cards. I mean, I'm always someone who says like you shouldn't really be banning cards unless they're like ruining the format, and I don't think they were. But they're quite strong. Colorless is very good in GLC. First of all, so we talked about like inconsistencies in decks and like lack of engines. Colorless has like all the engines, right?
Yeah.
Um, you have the barrel, you have Cinchino, you have Pidgeotto, and then you also have like Squovit, Oranguru, Fandro, Tom, and I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting as well. So you have like really insane draw, which is good. Most types don't have that. I think it's like by far the best. Especially like water is like pretty solid, except you don't have artillery in this. So yeah, you have a lot of really good draw power there. You have like some solid attackers that are pretty good. You have Kangaskhan, the Cyclizar that's pretty good. Then Snorlax is really strong, and there's also Hop Snorlax, which just came out, and the Hop stuff is pretty good um, for GLC, and it's like really almost all colorless. So you'll play it. You can play it in colorless. Realistically, most decks are probably playing some. And Hop Snorlax and regular Snorlax are really strong attackers, and they're 3 energy. The Hop Snorlax can be reduced to 2 using the Hop Choice Band. I mean, you can reduce it with like counting it as well. But then that's pretty easy to power up, and you can accelerate energy using like whatever Raihan, Mela, something like that, and then you just attach a a double colorless or a twin from your hand, and so that's really strong. And you had so many, you had up to essentially three. Double turbo is, um, it reduces by 20, but it's still pretty similar. So you could just play these energies to be pretty consistent and strong and fast, and just a basic. So it's just a high HP basic that's really strong. Well, okay, the Hop Sonics isn't super high HP after it attacks, but you just have some really strong and efficient basics that are really like not really in line with the format. Obviously, it's generally supposed to be more evolution focused, or at least have that aspect. Colorless is more basic focused, and you want different like things to do with different decks, but it was just like too strong. And simple answer, it was too strong. But it was too strong in kind of a weird way as well. Um, that made it like too fast, and you couldn't really do anything about it.
So I guess in a sense, maybe color. It's not the energies were too strong. Well, the bands are always related to other things, but it's the colorless type is too strong in general. Kind of
Yeah,
sounds
so
like.
this was a nerf to that. They're like solid in other decks. I'm trying to think. Like it's kind of like Guzzlord's a good Pokemon. Which is it's very good, I guess. I mean, it's Iron Hands EX, right? Pretty much. So that's a good card in standard. It would be absurd in GLC, and Guzzlord's still very good. So it's good there, or was good there. But you would probably be playing only one anyways. So like you put in double turbo, and it's okay, I guess. It's worse, but it's okay. Um, but yeah, I mean it's definitely mostly for colorless because obviously they're the ones that their attacks are all only colorless.
Right. They can it powers up at whatever you need there. So yeah. Anyway. So that's. Is there anything else you want to say in the bands, or did you want to talk start?
And then I'll mention Archeops. Archeops, it can also accelerate those energies, which is good. But also Archeops, the Stadium Fossil, was it Fossil Research Lab or whatever? It is
Yeah.
banned because of Archeops. And then also there's an Aerodactyl, and it was like super strong. And the Aerodactyl is also really good. And you can just power up your Pokemon easily. Yeah, again, I don't think these bans are all like required or anything like that. I think the only required ban was probably Duskull, because you can just kind of win turn one. Same reason that that card was banned expanded. It's not actually as good in GLC. It's like pretty good still. And there's some other very good cards there that probably should be banned. But yeah. Also another thing relating to Duskull, because I didn't actually mention this earlier. So obviously the cards are designed for standard, right? Like every card is designed essentially exclusively for standard.
Right.
They're designed to be like, I guess, kind of balanced in a vacuum as well. But Duskull is a card, or no, sorry, Dusclops, the stage one, paired with the Duskull and expanded, is absurdly broken and at least expanded, right? Like it's stupidly broken, allowing you
Yeah.
to easily win turn one. And so that's like a sign that Pokemon like really does not care about the card design for expanded and other formats, because like they could have put it on like any other line essentially, and then it wouldn't have been like broken. It would have acted the same in standard. Um, so they clearly just like don't care about it. I mean, it was like a ban that had to happen. Not just a card that was really good, but no, a card that was like completely game breaking.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't like, and we've talked about, I think, elsewhere in the podcast, and certainly not on the podcast too, is the bans. They ban it because of a certain interaction, but the use of the card in most cases is viable. Like going back to Scoop Up Net from Expanded, I get why they did it, but there's a lot of legitimate uses for Scoop Up Net, right? And that's all
Yeah.
been wiped out too because of this other problem. And the same thing with these bans. I guess I, what I've heard, the idea is what's going to have the least impact to the fewest number of people. But if you're one of the people that like to do something something particular, you might be on the losing side of it. So, I get
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? You're trying to pull together stuff that wasn't all designed to work together, obviously. What I will say, because we are, this is what Sun and Moon on only. When I was looking at other decks, which you can find some GLC decks out there with the full set of cards. When you look at the cards you lose, it's not many Pokemon you lose. It's trainers that get lost,
Yeah.
and maybe some energies, right? The Pokemon have gotten better over time. The older trainers and sometimes are at least as good or maybe even better than the new trainers.
Yeah. And yeah, so the Pokemon are mostly just support Pokemon. There's like a very small amount of attacking Pokemon that are lost from this. And not like that many support Pokemon either. There are a few that are pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some trainers. Versus Seeker, that's one I kind of miss.
Yeah.
Really cool card and really good for GLC as well. But again, it's nothing super crazy. I don't know, Hexamaniac, that's also one. I don't like Hexamaniac. I don't like lock cards, just really in general. Um, in terms of design, I actually play them some, not that much, but like a medium amount. But yeah, Hexamaniac is a card that I'm certainly happy isn't there. It does add some depth to the game, but yeah, that's another one. But yeah, so do we want to talk about? Is there more like general stuff, or should we just
Well,
hop into the specifics
let
now?
me just talk about my with deck building for GLC a second. And it kind of fits in with the cards that aren't there. So I'm not a GLC player, so trying to build a deck for GLC was a real challenge because it's I'm for if you're a GSO player, you kind of know what the staple cards are for things. I don't, so it's a very time consuming process. Plus, it's a lot of cards to look at, right? Like it's yes, it's only one type, but it's what thousands of Pokemon or something to sort through, and they're not normal Pokemon that even if you play expanded much. There's some good Pokemon for GLC that aren't part of the expanded thing. So you kind of either have to look at current GLC decks and start there, or I wanted to start from kind of fresh for myself. It was taking a lot of time, and I actually put together a water deck doing that was pretty horrible, I will say. But at least the fact that it was a smaller card pool makes it better for me as a non-GLC player getting into GLC, right? That there's a smaller set of cards, so it helps me a little bit.
Yeah, I lost your list. I don't know where it went, but I found it again. Yeah, so it's like kind of good. I've also played GLC in standard, some as well. And it's okay. Like, and then that's easier to get into because you're familiar with a lot of the cards, right? There's some that you
Right.
don't use, but like you've presumably as there's a good chance you've seen them. I think I've seen every card in standard just because I look at reveals, um, like of everything, right? So I see them
Right.
even if I don't really like comprehend them. But most people are familiar with a lot of them, and a lot. If a card's good in standard and it's playable in GLC, there's like a good chance it's good in GLC. Um, but then like we're we're familiar some with some of these older cards, not with all of them though, especially like weird like niche cards from
Right.
like a bunch of years ago. It's kind of hard to find those. But yeah, with GLC, I'm looking at your water deck as well. This is kind of interesting. I also built some of my own decks, um, and we'll talk about those some. But let's. I want to talk about your deck here actually.
Okay, my water deck. So, all right. So in defense, this was my first GLC deck I ever built, having essentially never played GLC before. Um, the concept was a spread based deck. I figured spread would be good and fun to play. So it was spread. Water, obviously, you get the Intellion engine, and it's a good attacker too. So that was in there. I have, I do like Scoop Up Net, so I am glad I can finally play Scoop Up Net and decks again. But I did the one thing if I was making an adjustment to the deck, and at this point I just dropped it. I have too many stage twos. I felt that was a big problem for me.
Yeah. Oh, I can't type uncommon fossil water GLC. It doesn't fit. Okay, we're dropping a space.
Okay, so did you want to talk about the list
Oh,
or
yeah. So there's so many cool cards in here. Like GLC is kind of fun because you can kind of play your favorite Pokemon in it more so than in standard. I mean, you can play your favorite Pokemon in standard, but you can't play them all together. Well, in GLC, you can't necessarily do. We can play like your favorite Pokemon of a type together. So, I mean, it kind of depends exactly what. But GLC is kind of interesting because the decks, there's like decks. So you said this is like a water spread deck, but lots of different Pokemon to put into the water spread deck. Um, and I actually found one and then I changed it. And yeah, water's a type that has a pretty big loss in artillery. Your draw, like the main
yeah,
draw engine, you lose. So that's kind of bad. I mean, Intellion's also really important and very good. But you got the Empoleon. This line's really fun. It's kind of like not awesome. It's kind of weak, but it is awesome, but it's weak. So you copy the previous evolutions. And you can do like snipe, or you can do like solid damage. It's a really cool card from the theme deck format, in my opinion. Probably my favorite, or it's got to be up there. So pretty fun there.
yeah.
Wait, what's your Kingdra? Oh, I found it. Okay, yeah, just an attacker. So yeah, I don't have that much to say about the deck honestly, but it's kind of cool. I also found a water list online that I played. Oh, I'm not looking at Valendex. Okay. So, and I think I sent this one to you, the Rapid Strike water one.
Yes, yeah, I have that. Yes, I have
Yeah.
that list here, which is probably a better
Uh,
list than mine.
Yeah, this one's okay. I played it some. It was all right. Again, you don't have the artillery, but you do have the artillery. You have the rapid strike artillery to search for rapid strike cards. I honestly don't like this card very much. I mean, it's like I don't hate it, but I know you like this card a lot, and
Well,
I found this deck where it plays Palafin for like switching, or no, it plays Palafin, and then you can get like switching, and then you can do big damage, and also has some spread, and yeah.
look, I love the rapid strike artillery, but I like it in a rapid strike deck, and you really can't. The battle styles are very limited, right? I mean, I'm trying to look through. There's Karina's Focus is the the one trainer maybe. Oh, you have the scroll
It's
too.
I have
Um,
Echoing Horn too.
uh,
Um,
okay,
It's got
echoing.
the energy. It's got the Rapstrike Sobble, which I guess you could find. It just
Yeah.
has the Cloister line. And Cloister's like decent.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's not a bad card. It's not an awesome card. I remember when I played it. I think it was really bad. I don't remember why, but oh no, I think they were like healing. I think they were they had Moonlit Hill, which
Okay.
heals 30 from all of their Pokemon. So that's kind of bad when you're like spreading 30, but yeah, still it's kind of fun. You got some different, lines in here. Got a coin flip Greninja. Not a big fan of coin flips. It's not like coin flips are a big thing in GLC. This card's like pretty good. It's all right. Um, and then it's like too crazy to break down here. You also see like cards from different eras in GLC as well. Again, even though this isn't like the full GLC, you can see like Aqua Patch and this is not the first set. And have very early set. And then you see something like what's a new card? Like Colossus Nasty is pretty new, or like Palafin. It's a pretty new Pokemon. You can see some different things from different eras kind of coming together. That's pretty fun. And so that's cool. I don't have that much to say about this deck though. I don't think you have that much either.
No, I mean if you're a GLC player, this is where there's like Brooklet Hill, Aqua Patch. They're cards that you're not giving a lot of thought to generally. But if you're a GLC person, probably you know to kind of to slap these cards in right away when you're building whatever. You have a set of cards for every type that you're going to need, and you get to play. Oh, this list just doesn't play Ball Guy, does it? So.
I might not.
All right, because you told me I think initially that's like the best card in format. I believe is what you told
I
me.
said it's the mask. I actually don't really like
Oh,
Ball
the
Guy.
mask.
I mean,
Okay.
it's okay, but it's pretty like so. Ball Guy, we played standard with Ball Guy. Well, when it was in standard, we played, or yeah, we played standard. And so we did. Did you ever play with Ball Guy?
I think I might have tried like a meme deck. There was a deck that it did,
Yes, Mr. Mime or no Glare Mr. Rhyme.
yeah, which I tried to make work, and I think I bailed on it. So ball guy, what you search for three trainers with ball in the name, right? I believe is that what it says?
Yeah, item cards with the word ball in the
Okay,
name.
items. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but so and they need to be differently named, and all of your cards are obviously differently named, and it gets a bunch of different ones. It cannot get air balloon. It actually like very definitely can't get air balloon now because it's not an item anymore. But it does not have the word ball in it. It just has ball, like the letters ball in it. But kind of funny. And then it's a cool card. It's a card that's pretty bad. It was pretty bad in standard and like in expanded. It's not very good. I think in GLC, my minor complaint about it and as to why I don't really love it as much as other people is because it gets the ball cards out of your deck. They're generally cards you still probably want to draw later on, so you're removing good cards from your deck. And like reducing the power of your deck a little bit as opposed to something that's just searching for those Pokemon directly. Obviously, if there's something that searches for just like three Pokemon, that'd be really good. You have like Lance, right, and Dragon, which
Yeah.
is good. Which is that, but and you have Winona as well in full GLC for colorless, but still something like I don't know. I personally kind of like other Pokemon search cards as well, and like Ball has played a lot more. Not that it's a bad card; it's a pretty good card. But it's interesting. It has some unique dynamics. But regardless, you got that there. Then I want to talk about my Lightning list though that I have here. This is one. Lightning is my favorite type in just in the TCG, I guess. Although I don't actually love the lightning cards in standard. never really have, but there are a few cards that I really like. I do like Flaffy. There's actually an Ampharos I like, but I don't have it. It's almost like game losing if I played it down because Flaffy, you don't have the other Dynamotor card, though you will have it coming back because the Electric is getting reprinted, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that'll be nice for that. And yeah, so that'll be good, and then you can play that in your GLC deck. So,
Yep, in
um,
live, you can play it
right, you can do
already in
it
your
now
GLC.
in right in full GLC, and obviously having a newer card with the same name doesn't help. So in GLC because
Yeah.
you can only have one
Um,
copy, you get to play Speed Lightning Energy in the Lightning deck. I assume that's like pretty much a guarantee card. And I do like that, right? You get to draw 2 extra cards. That was really good when it's format. And you're playing an energy I like that I think you didn't like that much, and that's Capture Energy. Or maybe you liked it some. I don't know. But, very good for just getting set up, which is obviously one of the challenges. I think with GLC, right, you have a little less, you have some less consistency, especially with the nerf format. So cards like Capture Energy that just, you need something to help set things up as well as thin out your deck in the process.
yeah, Capture Energy is like it's just a nest ball, but it's colorless energy, and it's like it's all right. Um, GLC is again slower, it's less consistent, but being slower means that you can afford to like kind of miss and not like exactly miss an attachment, but like not necessarily get the full value you want out of it. Because it's not a basic energy. And also, basic energy is good for the Flaffy. It'll
Yep.
get discarded eventually, so that's important. And then obviously, some of your attackers are just lightning or mostly lightning. I guess if it's mostly lightning, you only have one colorless energy. So still, capture's like pretty good. Also, I do play Iono's Killer Optional. I really like this card. I mean, it's not awesome in this deck. It's like it's all right, but its ability says you can discard a basic lightning from this Pokemon, and then you draw till you have 6 cards in hand. Um, it works well with Dynamotor. It's a little sketchy, but I've liked it a lot. And it's like your second draw engine behind Zebstrike, which is discard to your hand, draw four, which is a really explosive draw engine. So I really like Zebstrike. It's one of my favorite Pokemon in the deck. Um, then I also like the oh, this isn't sorted at all. So yeah, the Shinx, which can evolve turn one going second into Luxio, which item locks. Yeah, I know everyone loves that. It does 30. It's not insane, but it's pretty solid. And then I also have the Luxray with Raid, which does 160 on the turn you play it for one energy, which is pretty good. So I like that card, and I can do 120 from there on, which is like okay for two, and it has 160 HP, so it's like a solid stats attacker from there, though it's obviously not as good. And then it's a spread based deck, I guess. It's got the Tapu Koko to do 20 to everything. It's got the Electivire to do 50 to everything. And it's got the Raichu to essentially also do 50 to everything. And Regieleki to do some spread and some solid active damage. And also plays Zapdos for when it swings in, you can do 80 for just one, which is pretty good as well.
Yeah, I was played with this deck a little bit, your list, so didn't quite have the full hang of it, but the engine's pretty good between Zebstrika and Kilowattrel. Now, Zebstrika is always a scary engine because you discard your hand and you draw four. I think it was three, but it's still, depending on what you got, it's a little risky to do. So you're drawing it an okay amount of cards, but you're not drawing a ton of cards if you have a really good hand, right? It's kind of like, what do I do now? But that's where I got to get practice with a deck like this to get that. And obviously, with any GLC deck, you've got a lot of attacking options. So it's when it's a deck I haven't played a lot. When I've net decked something, or in this case, took it from you. It just figuring out what to do is harder, right? A regular deck, you have like 3 copies of like two attackers, and it's a lot easier to figure out what to do. So. It's part of the interest of GLC, but for me, I need decks that unless I built it myself, it's gonna be tougher. Oh, I will say because I think you said it's slower to develop, but also the games take longer. So whether that's good or bad, depending on whether I'm busy or not and kind of my mood, sometimes that's a good thing because it is slower. It's a little more casual. That's fun. But at other times, it's going to take 25 minutes probably for a typical game. That's kind of my experience. Well, it's either that or honestly, half the time my opponent stops playing. But that's like my live experience like every day too. So um, even sometimes my opponent's winning and they stop playing too. I don't understand the live community sometimes. I got to say.
Yeah, I personally haven't really seen that as much as you. I've seen it occasionally, but then yeah, I think in the games you said it's like a little more chill, but I don't even know if I'd agree with that. Like a lot of it is because you have so many different cards. There's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
So I guess you have turns when you're like if you're not really doing anything, then I guess that's more chill. But that's also like not really fun. Again, compared to like Theme, which is a chill format, which
Yeah.
is I don't know. I mean, I like Theme a lot, and I think you also like Theme a lot. And when you're thinking of like alternate formats that are like slower, that's kind of what we're comparing it to.
Yeah.
And GLC and theme are very different. GLC is much more similar to standard, in my opinion, than it is to theme.
Yeah, with theme, you're right. It's not chill in that it's slower GLC, right? Its themed was slower too, so it's comparable to that. But themed, you didn't build the deck. You just picked which deck you wanted, and there were like whatever a dozen decks you'd normally choose from, whatever your preferences were, and you just start to play it. And in it, it was more relaxed. The GLC, you've got a lot of choices, right? Every card's a one of, so and you got a lot, you got when you search for a Pokemon, obviously and if you play an Ultra Ball, you got to think through, you got to think through a lot of things with every choice you make. So yeah, it's not chill in that sense, which I guess it was part of the appeal, right? It's very decision, it allows good decision making expression in GLC. I think that's probably the strength of GLC.
Yeah, yeah. It's a slow burning format, but there's a lot of stuff going on as well. I think it's like much more complicated than standard because again, you have like every decision you make, you have so many more possibilities. Um, and then also like things early game can have a bigger effect later game as well. Than in standard. I mean, I guess that can happen in standard. I mean, I'm like certainly more confident and better in standard than GLC. But yeah, I mean, it's not like GLC is like a completely different thing either. Again, it's relatively similar. But yeah, and again, I really like Lightning. You also have you have Electro Power. I think that's here. We can do some
Yeah.
extra damage, and yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun. It's my favorite type. Again, it's not necessarily super strong. Notably, you don't have like a strong attacker for big damage. I mean, Luxray is like pretty strong, I guess, but that's really attacking once. With his big attack, you could theoretically attack again using like Scoop Up Net, but that's pretty awkward. And I guess you could recover it as well. There are technically ways to attack with him multiple times, but they're pretty awkward. But overall, you're like focused on doing quick, solid damage, some on disruption, some spread, things like that. So you have some different options, but it's not like as traditional. I was also playing the Darkness deck. I think this one was from Little Dark Fury. And you sent me this one, and I enjoyed that one a lot. Did you? How much did you play? I just played it once, but I
I
enjoyed it.
I played it a few times, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, look, I've always been a fan of Wheezing. It's got
Yeah,
so
Galarian Wizard.
Galarian Wheezing, sorry, yeah, which shuts down abilities. So not always fun for your opponent. But in the poisoning here, I think it's 4 damage counters between turns. So from its attack, yeah. So that adds up quickly there as well. It has Lipard for an engine, so that's good. Discard, draw two. I don't know if it has any other engine card, right? I think that's it for an engine.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So, and then it does have a nice big attacker, Spiritomb. Spiritomb to me was really the key to the game, because it builds up damage very nicely. Because with lightning you didn't have a big attacker, so you want to be able to one shot things, especially like you played the luxurious cape in that deck. I don't remember if this deck does, but you want to be able to one shot that high HP Pokemon. So Spiritomb does that. It Anguish Cry does 30 per damage counter on it plus 10 more. It only has 60 HP, but that's what 160, which one shots a lot of things. I believe does it play Cape of Toughness or something like that? No. So okay, so you're capped at 50. That was a tricky one though because your HP is so low. You need to like deciding which turns do you use the ability. You can put a damage counter once per turn. So you're trying to get up. You need to be aggressive enough so you can do the big damage where you need it. But of course, if your component can snipe or ping at all, you got to be very careful there. So which makes it kind of an interesting card. But it has a big swing attacker, which I like I like that a lot. And it's got a little Galarian Moltres as well, so that does obviously swings big late game if you remember that. And it's got some poison stuff as well in the deck. So has some different options. So, and I get to play Hoopa, which I got to play in my Eternatus deck. So I get to relive the glory days there.
Yeah, and also Galarian Zigzagoon, which you could also play in Eternus back in
Yes.
the olden days. And Galarian Zigzagoon is a pinging Pokemon on play, and so is Galarian Obstagoon, so that's kind of fun. It can also wall basics. That's like not super common, but you use it, but you could. And then also it
Yeah.
does have the Weavile. This one does 50 for each of your point damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon with an ability.
Yeah.
So that's like also very strong potentially, or like terrible. It obviously kind of depends, but that is also like a big attacker for one energy, kind of
Right.
like the Spiritomb. And the Hoop is also pretty strong for one.
Yeah, I like one energy attackers as well. So because you need to power up potentially every turn. You're hopefully not getting knocked out every turn, but it's gonna happen a fair amount. The HP on these Pokemon largely aren't huge, so I'm kind of scrolling through the list. So having single energy attackers is obviously very good. It plays one dark patch, which helps, but that's very limited energy acceleration there. And I don't know if a lot of these decks play a Raihan. I don't know if this. I don't remember if this list
Yeah, it
does or
looks like it doesn't.
it does not.
If
So
you like scroll through because you can't see the deck very well. Also, the highest HP Pokemon actually by far in the deck is oh no, sorry, the Obsidian is like pretty high, but the
yeah,
Brute Bonnet with the tool is actually like um definitely the highest, which is kind of funny. Not that you really want to like ever be attacking with it, though. I guess you can.
right. I mean 120, but you can't attack the next turn. And
Yeah, no, it's not great.
no, but you're poisoning it, and then you got the P.E.K.K.A run potentially to put 5 more damage counters in the active, and you got the wheezing. So you're doing some poisoning, you're doing a little pinging with the Galarian Zigzagoon and Galarian Obstagoon. Hopefully, slow them down with the wheezing. So, and then you got that big punch with the Spiritomb and the Moltres if when that comes to play. I think it plays Claire, right?
Yeah, and it plays Lana's Aid. Oh, it doesn't play Scoop now. I'm just looking. I might like mess with this list some later, but yeah, I mean, I think Darkness has some really cool cards. It's a type that generally kind of gets interesting cards. It's kind of fun. Um, and yeah, there's some. There's also Guzzlord, which I mentioned, not in this list, but it's pretty good as well. But yeah, overall, Darkness is a really fun type. I also want to talk about Fighting, which I think I sent you a list.
Yes.
This one I think I looked at Limitless and made some changes, including adding Larry's skill supporter. This one is I don't know. It seems kind of sketchy. Because it says you discard your entire hand, and then you search your deck for a Pokemon, a supporter, and a basic energy, and put them into your hand. But I think it's all right because like you can get a supporter for later, you can get a basic energy for now, and then you can get a Pokemon as well, which is like good. Discarding your hand is kind of sketchy, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I played a little and it seemed all right.
I mean, I assume you're not playing Larry's skill in standard, right? Because you can,
Yeah,
but a supporter that discards your hand and gets you another supporter is starting off on the wrong foot. I will say.
yeah. Getting another supporter with a supporter though in like GLC is much better because you want to kind of chain supporters together every turn,
Yeah.
and you get some other stuff as well. Obviously, discarding your whole hand is kind of bad, but it's an interesting supporter. But then the Pokemon also fighting has some cool Pokemon. It does not have an engine, which is like kind of bad. It doesn't have any at all.
Yeah.
That I can think of. That's like,
You
yeah, I
can't
don't
you
think
can't
there's
think of
like,
it. You can't think of an engine, and obviously this deck doesn't have one. So
yeah, I can't even think of something that's like kind of an engine that's actually in the format. So and even the stuff that's like in full GLC isn't great as like pseudo engine options. There's like Lunatone and there's like Glade, and Glade's almost unplayable. You can technically play it, but it's really hard. And then Lunatone's in this engine is like just good, but not insane. And then Lunatone's also kind of weak, but it plays some really high HP Pokemon, or it plays Machamp, yeah, which has 300 HP if your opponent's taken 3 prizes already. You can do pretty good big damage. And Machoke also has bench protection. Sometimes have bench protection. Water does. Psychic does. They have like the like good bench protection,
right.
and then Grass has some on stage one, and Fighting does on stage one as well. It'll Fighting will generally be playing it. Grass often won't, but Machoke is a nice stage one. Lucario and Buzzwole are both good one energy attackers, though you cannot always use them. Bloomiris Luna, kind of like Land Moltres. And then it also plays Tinglu and Palisand for spread, which is like interesting. I don't actually know how much I like it, but it's there. And then it has Okidogi. Okidogi here is super strong. This one has 130 HP to 70 for 2. What if it has a darkness attached? So it plays energy to because it's 2 fighting to attack, but you can have energy that's both darkness and fighting. And then you're going to be doing 170 and you have 230. So those are like insane stats there. And you're a single point or a single prize Pokemon, and then you also can attach like Bravery Charm or like Luxurious Cape or something as well.
Right. Looking at the energies here, you have 2 energies that can provide the fighting in the darkness with Luminous and Unit Energy. Unit Energies provide 3 different types. This is fighting darkness and fairy energy. And then you get to play one of my favorites. You get to play Stone Energy as well, which you take 20 less damage. So
Uh,
what's that? You forget
I
about
might
that
cut
one?
it. No, I might cut it because well, the list originally played Strong Energy, which is good because you do more damage, but
Yeah.
that's not here. So I cut it for the other one, and I don't know how I feel about it, especially with like Luminous is kind of awkward. You can
Right.
actually have that come up, but it could be an issue. And then the like less damage hasn't really been meaningful. But I don't know, it's all right as well.
Yeah, for this list, I don't know that it's really what you're going to want in it. So you might just be better with a either another basic energy or a trainer, depending what you need in the deck. So
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Random question. So you're in like the deck builder, right?
yes,
So if you look at like, so some of the things that like if you there's a card you can't play, it's like grayed out, right?
correct. It's grayed out.
But then it looks like the gray like isn't covering the entire card. Like you can see around the border. At least I
Um,
can.
yes. So the way it is, I think to describe it real quickly, geometry. You have the radius at the corners of the card. So the gray area, the card has a radius that's a bigger. The gray area also has a radius, but the radius of the gray area is smaller, and it's like the outer areas of the radius are what's touching. If you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's a little weird. You're correct. I didn't notice that. I mean, I think GLC decks are awkward to build and even to look at, right? Because there's so many cards. That's kind of the nature of it. The nice thing is once you put fighting in the deck, all it shows you is fighting Pokemon, right? That's all. I didn't have to. Oh no. Um, yeah, it automatically does fighting for you.
Yeah,
So
and it does. You can do that manually, and actually, like it checks the box in the searching thing. So,
yeah, and
that's how it does it. Which
I can change it. I can click the box for psychic as well, and now I see psychic and fighting, but it automatically checks the box for fighting only. So that's a good. So they did a nice thing, a good thing in life. So I want to give them credit when they actually do something positive.
yeah. So that's pretty cool. I'm scrolling through looking at some Pokemon that I might want to add, but I'm not sure at this moment. But yeah, fighting's definitely a cool type. It's pretty simple. But again, it opens up like some different options that some people might like as well. I kind of like it. Then I don't know. I kind of want to talk about maybe Psychic. Is that the last one we haven't talked about that we've actually done?
I've done
I haven't
colorless
actually
as
done
well,
Psychic.
and I
Oh, we didn't talk about those.
right. We
Let's talk
didn't.
about that one first.
Okay, and this one, the deck I sent you is one that I got from Limitless, which was using the full GLC format, and I kind of substituted things in. And in the list, just to say, the original list, which I'm looking at here, didn't play Ball Guy, which is fine, but it also didn't play any ball trainer, no ball items, which is unusual, I would say.
Mhm.
But
Oh, also I don't have. I'm not looking at the list, but I'm looking at my colors list. But yeah,
Yeah, so it's and I like the list. Look, Colorless has good engines, like you said. It's got the Barrel Scrovid engine. That's really good there. Fan Rotom, which is really nice. Both, the attack, as long as there's a stadium in play, is good. And right, 70 for one energy. Plus, you can set up turn one as well. But even at 70, 70 for one energy, you can use that attack as well. You get the Hops Kramer in this list, which is very nice. 120 for one energy for a couple turns over the course of the game. In GLC, your opponent really can't skip over those 3 or 4 turn prizes. They can't really do it in standard very well either. Once the megas come out, then that gets a little trickier there.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, in standard they can skip. Like they can say, oh, you can only have one turn of it though. In GLC, you can often get 2 turns of it, and you can like recover and do it back to back.
right, unless it's a
So
deck
that
that like they're knocking out their own Pokemon, right? Or you're knocking out multiple Pokemon. With a deck that's not a spread attacking deck, which this one's not, you should be able to use it twice. So assuming you can get it in play.
if they're not playing spread, yeah.
Right. So it's got one of my favorites, the Dodrio line with you get to draw a card with that, which is good too. A little bit more draw, and it does a very solid attack for one energy as long as it's been around some. And then a Kangaskhan, a Tauros, which are both what's the energies by this? It's got the twin
Two.
energy, I mean the double turbo, and the counter energy. Which with counter energy, I was surprised the 2 energy as long as you're behind the prizes, so that can power up like the first attack on Kangaskhan and Tauros, which can be good. And it's got a Rangaroo as well, draw to 3 cards in hand. So there's obviously a number of good Orangaroos in the game too. So that part of what makes colors a nice type to go with.
Yeah, although one is banned. So this one's like definitely the best because this is the one that switches top two, which is like solid, but
Yeah.
a little more niche than its attacks. Also definitely worse, almost all the time. But yeah, this Rangoon is really good. The other one again is also like all right. But then you also have this list that I'm looking at. It plays the what you mentioned Cyclizar. I think you did. I'm not sure.
I did not mention it, so that's not in the
Okay,
list I
then
have.
not that's not it. Okay. So Cyclops is a pretty solid Pokemon. It's not actually that interesting, but it's pretty solid. And then the one I'm looking at plays it does play the Archeops line to accelerate special energy.
Right.
Then it also plays the Tornadus, which has the attack Air Slash, which does it does damage. It doesn't actually really matter what it does though, because it plays Flyinium Z Air Slash, which says it's a tool that says if the Pokemon this card is attached to has the attack Air Slash, um, you can use the GX attack on this card, which you can do. Pokemon GX are banned, but this card is not. Then you can use Speeding Sky Strike GX, which does 180 for 4. So that's like actually not that good. But then you prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So you can use that attack and just start like walling, or you can wall once and then like
Okay.
do big damage as well. Also, I do want to mention this is a water thing. I've not done this, but you can actually pair it with you can do there's a Swanna with oh that's okay. Yeah, there's some Swannas with Air Slash, so you can use that. And then with Air Slash, you can use the GX stack, and then you can use the supporter Misty and Lorelei, which lets you reuse GX attacks. You need to discard 5 energies from your hand. Or no, sorry, 5 cards from your hand, and then you can one of your water Pokemon can use their GX attack again. So you can like loop that theoretically. That seems like almost impossible, but also really funny. So I kind of want to try that. But yeah.
In the list I have here, I've been looking at it. It's got you have a lot of special energies, so it's got capture. We talked about powerful energy, which is great, does 20 more damage. That's great. Jet energy, which I'm a big fan of that. Counter energy, the double turbo, and it plays a rainbow energy, which I was thinking, why was that there? But that's there because when you attach it, it does 10. It puts a damage counter on you, so good there for the Dodrio. So way to get a little extra damage out of that. So because it doesn't need nothing needs the color type energy, and then it also plays a couple cards. Got a bunch of stadiums, including Old Cemetery. So you can you damage yourself with that, and it plays a card which I haven't played before. I don't believe Stadium Nav. Flip 2 coins for each head. Search your deck for a stadium card. Put it in your hand. So get to play some of these fun cards in a deck like this.
Yeah. Oh, I think I must apply. Well, so obviously I just searched for some water Pokemon, but then I went to deselect colorless, but it doesn't let you do that. And then it reselects it for the
Okay.
colorless Pokemon. So that's something. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's kind of like overriding what I'm doing, but I guess it's getting me stuff for the deck. It lets me again look at the water Pokemon, but then I have to be looking at colorless Pokemon still. So yeah.
Yeah, and you want to talk about, you said Psychic as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I'll wrap up with Psychic. Psychic's also cool. I don't have that much to say. I mean, there's stuff to say about it, but I don't really feel like it. Well, actually, I haven't played this list, but you got with the Curly engine, you have Zadu to draw and also accelerate, and then you have Malamar just to accelerate. Malamar's better at accelerating than Zadu, and Curly's better at drawing than Zadu, but Zadu's like in the middle and it's pretty solid. So you have some pretty solid attackers as well, and this one is a spread-based list, I guess, not like pure spread, but has elements of spread and like bench damage and stuff, so that's like kind of fun.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of cool Pokemon, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a Dracloak, which is, I mean, the Dragapult, right, does 120, puts 3 damage counters on the bench in way you like, and you got to flip a coin to about for damage. And it also, besides the Curlia, which is good, it plays you get Gardevoir in the deck as well. Uh,
Oh, this doesn't play the Gallade. Okay.
no, not this list. There's the Glade lets you put a supporter from the discard pile in your hand, right?
No, you search for it
You search, which is
from your deck.
obviously once per turn, which is awesome. No, this one has the Gardevoir. Look at the top 2 cards, put them in. You can accelerate energy if you want to, and the other cards go in your hand. And it's got a very solid attack as well, 60 for 3, plus 30 more for each psychic energy. I don't know if the attack on the Gallade, I don't remember if that's got the better attack or not.
Yes, it's pretty close. It's probably better than the Glade, but wait, I'm not sure. But I feel like the ability is better than the Glade, but I guess it depends as well.
Yeah, they do different things, right? So I mean, I guess you could put the Galate in as well, and then obviously you
Yeah.
can't play them both down, but it would give you that flexibility because it is situational, right? What's better? So with it, so and you get to use the Mimikyu with the copycat attack. You can copy your opponent's last attack as long as they didn't use a GX attack, right? Which your one deck can do. So and it does
Yeah.
and it draws
Secret counter.
exactly. It's just there to stop Mimikyu, right? It's fun when you get to use an attack like that as well. And this is the best bench barrier in the game. It's the only bench barrier, right? That's the only ability that's actually called that. But protects your bench and side power one colorless. Put 3 damage counters any way you like on your opponent's Pokemon is a nice little attack. It's fun when you get some value out of that in the game.
Yeah, it's another theme Pokemon. Pretty niche, but fun as well. You got Dusknoir as well here. Does not play the band Duskull because you can't obviously. But yeah, the deck's that's pretty good. I think. I don't know. It looks good. I haven't played it yet, but I'm gonna play it. Probably right after we record. But I think that's all for the podcast. We talked about the general stuff as well as the specific stuff. But overall, what are your thoughts on GLC? Just wrapping it up.
I'm liking it. It's slow, so I think I'm gonna want to play GLC sometimes and standard sometimes. So I'm liking it. It's a little weird in this rotation because GLC is very different than the other trainer trials. So I don't know if I'm gonna like this mix of trainer trials if that's what they decide to do going forward. But certainly a lot of people are glad it's here, and I'm liking it. It's a nice chance for me to play GLC too because there wasn't really that opportunity before this. So it's a positive all in all.
Yeah. What do you think they're gonna do with the formats going forward? Do you think they're gonna like keep it pretty much the same? I think they're gonna focus more on GLC if I had to guess, but I'm not sure on that one.
Now, if you look at some of the other YouTube channels that did GLC videos, there's a lot of there's like a lot of comments saying how horrible it is that you can't play all the cards. So
There are.
I've seen a lot of comments out there. So
Then maybe GLC is not coming back. Maybe the community will successfully remove GLC from live and get what they want.
well, see that's I'm just saying that's something Pokemon has to navigate that, right? Obviously it's been a bumpy road getting it in. I think the smart thing would probably just to take one of these formats and add it. Like if they just dropped the trainer trial eventually and just made it GLC, I think that would probably be a good thing. It could be a good thing.
Yeah.
And then you have full standard expanded GLC. I think that 3 games is probably as many as many formats as I think the community can support right now. So yeah, I think GLC.
Yeah, I will say expanded could be a trainer trial. Like, I feel like no one really like people don't play expanded that much, especially in live, and wouldn't play it that much even if it was fully implemented. They'd play it a little more, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it came in now, fully implemented and being on the rank ladder, because a lot of people care about that too. You don't, but a lot of people do. I think it would happen, and then, but if they added GLC afterwards, like I think expanded would just like dry up immediately.
Yeah, I mean they're both. I'd say to me they're pretty comparable formats, and people do play expand as well. Like I mean I'm comparing expand to standard, and then like people barely play it, but comparing it to GLC, I mean people play with GLC more, but people do play expanded some as well. And then yeah, but I could see it being relegated to a train trial. I would not mind that. And then I think I kind of wish that though the train trials were like something that were easier to jump into, especially requiring a bunch of deck building. So maybe something that is at least some of the train trials would be cool if they had pre-constructed,
Yeah.
or no, constructed. I don't remember the terms of the formats, but like one where you don't need to build your deck from scratch every time.
Well, how they have on their website for the game, occasionally they'll have some decks. Like here's some decks to play for the format. They should probably have for each of these formats. They should have here's 3 decks to start with that you could just net deck out there by them just as a way to start day one, because especially if you're new to GLC, if you're not a GLC player, it's obviously it's a lot of work to get into it, right? They should have done something, and yeah, they could have given out a deck too, probably for each one, even right in the game. That wouldn't have been going too far either, probably.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But overall, I think it's been like a solid experience. I give it a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed the podcast, though. Consider liking and subscribing on our YouTube videos at 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil, and check us out on podcasting platforms if that's where you'd rather listen to us. But again, of course, we have regular videos as well on our channels. But we hope you enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.